Five, four. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this team talk with Great Scott Gadgets. My name is Straithe, and this is Elizabeth that I have with me here. And we are very excited to talk about leading an open source hardware company. I am very excited about this because Elizabeth has just been fantastic as my direct supervisor. I think she's been doing a great job leading Great Scott Gadgets. I know she leads with compassion and kindness, and she keeps tackling every weird issue I throw at her. So, Elizabeth, tell us something about yourself.
So, hi everybody. I'm Elizabeth. I am the CEO of Great Scott Gadgets. And yeah, I'm just here, like, keeping the business running and trying to do everything I can to improve things and
Yeah, that sounds
support the
exact.
team.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like what you do. So you've been with Great Scott Gadgets for quite a while. I know you've been here at least longer than I've been. When did you start with the company?
I've been here for 8 years now. In fact, my anniversary, my 8 year anniversary was about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's so exciting. And like,
Yeah.
I know you didn't start with
I've been here for
oops,
eight
sorry. I
years
am
now, in fact.
fucking with too many screens. Oops, sorry. Beep. So I know you didn't start as CEO in Great Scott Gadgets. And what role did you start in? Was there an official name?
I think my first official title was office manager. So when I started, Mike was looking for someone to help out with bookkeeping and um, doing reseller orders, and there were a bunch of other things in that listing that job listing that I read that interested me. Like I could make videos, I could do writing and editing, and I don't know, there was just like a long list. It was sort of like choose your own adventure, so that's kind of like what was interesting. And yeah, so that's what I first started doing, and just uh,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So like, I mean, that feels like every job at Great Scott Gadgets. We kind of all do a variety of things. Has your title changed between office manager and CEO?
Yeah, so about, I guess, maybe it was like 2 years in, I was manager of operations. So I took on a little bit more responsibility with the finances. I had a team reporting to me, and just kind of like more responsibility in the manufacturing part of Great Scott Gadgets, and doing manufacturing schedules, keeping track of when we needed to start manufacturing, things like that.
That's that's so many different things. I love it.
Well, it's a small company, so you have to like kind of see what's needed. And I think I one time whiteboarded like all the different roles, that like job titles that I might have if I worked for a huge company.
Yeah.
But obviously it's like smaller bits of work, so it's not too bad.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so like, okay, so your role has changed a lot in your time at GSG. How has GSG changed since you've been here?
Oh, a lot. I When I started, I think it was just three of us when I started, and we were working out of a lab, an office space in Evergreen, where we had, so it was me and Mike and Taylor, who'd already been there for, I think, a year at that point. And we had like a shared office space. Then there was a space that was a lab and like workshop, soldering station, test equipment, all those sorts of things. And then we also did like fulfillment and storage of inventory and stuff like that.
So, because I work at Great Sky Gadgets, I know that we're all fully remote now. But there are important things you mentioned in that lab space, like warehousing. Obviously, we don't have a warehouse now. So, like, how is it transitioning to giving that job to other companies?
Yeah. So in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic started to get going, we switched to remote work and kind of just never looked back. And to like have warehousing and shipping operations out of one of our homes would have been really, difficult and space consuming. And so we outsourced that work to a third party logistics company. So now, like when we used to get orders, we would fulfill them ourselves. Like we would pack them and take them to shipping place and all that. And now, when we get an order, we send it to the warehouse. We give them instructions, and they do it for us.
Is that kind of a relief? Like, because again, like you've had so many things you do for the company. Is it kind of nice just to give like a section of that to someone else?
Yeah, it's nice. It's also like added another layer of communication. That we had to get really good at, like communicating exactly what we needed. And we have, we're shipping all over the world, so different resellers have different requirements, and we just try to do a really good job of communicating, making sure that that goes smoothly.
That's cool. Um, so yeah, there's warehousing. I know that's one thing we don't have to do anymore. If there was something else you could offload to another company, is there like anything that jumps to mind that would be really cool?
I I don't know.
That's cool. Like, I don't know. I feel we should talk about that during like a one-on-one sometime. Is like, what is the next thing we want to like automate? But yeah. So like other CEO questions is like, how long have you been in the CEO position? 2 years?
It's been I think it's been a little over 2 years. I think it was late 2021. Is that right? It's 2024 now. Yeah, two something years, two
It
plus
feels
years.
like so long because you've done so much in the role. Um, like I know you've had to deal with things over the pandemic and all of our chip issues and like multiple products and stuff. How has that been, like being CEO of a company that relies on hardware and having a chip shortage?
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, so the chip shortage started right around the same time that I um, started being the CEO. And here I am sitting over here with all of my like insecurity over having this big role, and I'm like, I'm supposed to have answers. I'm supposed to figure out how to get the company through this. And um, I did realize like I I think the most important thing like I learned from that is that I have a team around me. It's not me doing it by myself, and I don't have to have all the answers. Um, so yeah, so the chip shortage though was like really kind of a crisis for us.
Yeah.
It didn't just affect, I think all of our um, Syntheon campaign backers and people with pre-orders like know how this is affected because we've written a lot of updates about it, but like it's affected uh, every product that we ship and manufacture. So, including HackRF1, which is the product that pays our bills and our team. And so, if we can't ship HackRF1 and manufacture HackRF1, we have a problem. So when I brought this to the team and said, we got to figure this out, they figured it out. And that's where R9 came from.
Yeah.
So we did end up having a shortage of HackRF1 that was about 6 months. I think it was almost 6 months. And we got through it. But it really could have been so much longer if we hadn't had just like the engineering team was like, we can figure this out. We got this.
Yeah. So speaking of team, you said back when you started, we only had 3 employees, and I think we're up to 10 now. Is that correct, or is it 9?
9.
You would
I think
think
it's 9.
you would think with a small company I could count, but
Right. I
always
know.
like,
I have to do it whenever I send invites for meetings with everybody. I have to look and
yeah,
go, okay, make sure I get everybody on there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and I know you're my manager, and who, like, what is the structure of Great Scott Gadgets like for everyone else that's not part of the company?
Oh, like the org chart kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, we have one of those somewhere, but so kind of the way our structure works is we have Mike Osman, who's the founder and CTO of Great Scott Gadgets, and then there's me, and Mike and I meet a couple times a week to talk about what we're doing and update each other on our work and get feedback, and we share what our team is doing, and then we also have weekly meetings with the folks on our team. So you and I meet, and I'm also meeting with Taylor Streetman, our manufacturing engineer, and Mike has the R&D team meetings. So that would be Antoine, Diego, Jacob, Mike Walters, Martin. Did I get everybody? That's everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I always think it's funny how many people on our team start with the letter M.
I know. And how many mics? We've had so many mics.
Yeah.
I think at one point we had 3.
Really?
Yeah, because we had an intern named Mike,
Oh.
and then someone else applied for a job, and they were also named Mike. Yeah, so
So we've got a really nice message in chat from Coco Lino saying, I'm having such a good time with the HackerF. I could listen to shortwave for the rest of my life. Thank you for making it. So yeah, I know.
nice.
Thank you very much for constantly making sure that we have the chips we need and the parts we need. And like manufacturing schedules actually just fascinate me with how much effort you have to put into them. For people just kind of starting out with doing open source hardware, like what does a manufacturing schedule look like? Like, is it something you could
Well,
do in like a week, or does manufacturing take longer?
oh, how long does it take to make a schedule, or how long does it take to manufacture?
Both. Let's try both.
Okay. So, making a manufacturing schedule involves like predicting our demand basically. And like when I was manager of operations, we moved to an inventory management, like a cloud-based service for that. And we also have, and it does a lot of reporting that helps me figure out, like, based on what happened in the past, how much, when we're going to need those products back in stock. And from there, I can take, like, historical data about how long things take, lead times for chips and things. Like, we take the longest lead time chips and order those first. But yeah, I thought I had that pretty dialed in before before 2021. And things have gotten better now too. It's like gotten
Yeah.
better. But manufacturing like HackRF1, I think our longest lead time chip right now is about, if I remember right, 26 weeks.
Wow. So like a long time you have to plan ahead, like at least a half a year.
At least. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for that comment. Like I really like hearing how much people appreciate like what we do and that it's making their life more fun or easier or helping them do cool research.
Me too. It's the most fun part of my job, like being a community manager, like getting so many of those messages. It's like, yay. But yeah, you mentioned that you thought you had the manufacturing schedules dialed in before the pandemic, and you said they're getting better now. What happened in the middle there?
Well, lead times went from like usually like the longest lead time was 20 weeks. And if it was longer than that, it was like, oh no. And it went from 20 weeks to like for SI5351C that we use on HackRF, it's like now it's 52 weeks. And I
Wow.
later learned that 52 weeks means we don't know or maybe never, which is like,
That's
okay.
terrible. Like at least with 52 weeks there's hope, but like if it means something else, I feel like they should just max it out at 99 weeks or something.
Yeah. I think they're maybe like not sure. They're just like, hopefully we can do it in 52 weeks.
Yeah. So like how does the manufacturing process work when it comes to like choosing companies? Because I know we have like a PCB manufacturer, we have a enclosure manufacturer, we have box manufacturers. Like, how do you, as CEO in the States, like manage that, especially when most of our stuff is made in China?
That's something I don't do as much hands-on with because we have hired a contract manufacturer who, um, like has this whole supply chain thing uh, figured out. So we give them a bill of materials, and they then go to their different suppliers and go like, factories making the boxes. This factory is doing the PCBs. They have an in-house team that sources like parts, and then they also do like assembly and packaging and testing, that sort of thing.
That's really cool. So,
Yeah.
when it comes to contract manufacturers, were you part of the process of finding one, or was that before your time?
We've been working with the same contract manufacturer since before I started with Great Scott Gadgets.
That's cool.
And we have used a couple of other contract manufacturers for like smaller projects, but it's like with like HackRF, especially like there's so many like complex requirements that and they know how to do it now. They've got it dialed in at this point. So
Yeah, so we've got a pretty tight relationship with them, it sounds like.
absolutely, yeah.
So that's like one half of the process is like making the goods and the relationships we have with those companies. But like
Hmm.
on the other side, I know we don't sell directly to end consumers. We use resellers, right?
Right.
So, and I know we have resellers all over the world, but for those who don't know about the reselling process or what that's like or how we get HackerFs out into the world, could you describe a little bit about like what is a reseller?
So, a reseller is another company who like either well, mostly they are selling products online. We have resellers that are, focused on like makers and hobbyists. We have like cybersecurity resellers, amateur radio, And they come to us and they say, we'd like to have you as a supplier. And then we get them all of the steps they need to do that and onboard them. And then they become an authorized GSG reseller. And we ship them products and they sell them to their customers.
Cool. And do we only use resellers because that's just kind of like an easy way for hardware companies to operate? Like, would you ever want to sell directly, or are we just really comfortable with the reseller process?
I think like I don't have any plans to change that. Like it's working really well. It helps us like put more of our company resources into like research and development work, designing and maintaining products, which is the things that we really love to do and are really passionate about. So this thing that the resellers do for us is like they're doing all the logistics of getting things to everyone, and if we did that, we'd probably have a whole other department of the company. So yeah, we could do that, but like our resellers are so great.
They are.
And they are so supportive, and I absolutely love working with our resellers. Like that's one of my favorite things. Some of them I've been working for since the beginning, some of them I onboarded, and it's great.
Awesome.
We have a great relationship. And I never want to do anything like compete with them, like try to, because they some of them have built their businesses up selling Great Scott Gadgets products, so.
Yeah. It's really nice to have those, tight community connections for sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Are there any places you'd love to see more reseller applications from? Like, are there any countries you'd like to see or like anything like that? Or is it just more about who the person is?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to get a reseller in South America on that continent, and we had one. I tried to make it work with this company that reached out to me from Brazil, and there's like some roadblocks with how their customs works, and their duty rates are so high and they can only ship like 2 at a time or something. So we can't make that work yet, but I would love to find a way to do that.
That's cool. I know also in the last few years, customs has hit Great Scott Gadgets in a number of ways. Are you up for sharing any of those stories?
Well, yeah, that's sort of like, when was that?
I think 2019.
2019? Was it 2019 when we got that stuff?
Yeah, finally.
Oh, finally. Okay, so I guess we had a shipment seized by U.S. Customs that was coming from our manufacturer in China, and they seized it because they said these things are cell phone jammers. And they are not. They are radio test equipment. And so we hired lawyers to help us figure this out. And we wrote up an appeal to this decision to seize the goods. It was like somewhere around $50,000 worth of hackgraphs. And we were not sure if we were ever going to get them back, but we fought it, we appealed it, and eventually, it was like a year and a half later, they finally released them and said, we see now that these are not cell phone jammers. And we understand, we help them understand what they are. Mike Osman did this whole table comparing this is test equipment. Here's a bunch of things that are test equipment. Here's a bunch of things that are cell phone jammers. Here are the things that are the same and different about them. And that really convinced them, and they were able to get us that merchandise back. But it was a really frustrating thing. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that it ended like with us getting that back, because that would have been a huge loss.
Yeah. Well, and I think,
Fortunately, it wasn't the whole shipment. Like we were sending it in smaller bits. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think that's a really interesting aspect of leading a company is having to learn all the legalities, all the customs, all the tariffs, and all of that. Um,
Mhm.
is that anything you knew anything about before becoming operations manager? Is that all like on the job training?
No, zero. I knew zero. I had never done anything like that before. So I picked it up. Our resellers basically a lot of our resellers are bigger companies than us and know what they need.
Yeah.
Others we've had to figure out through trial and error what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, we've had to learn how to do commercial invoices and, finding the best shipping rates and things like that. So,
So you
yeah.
say you had no experience in that. Like, did you have any experience before joining GSG that really helped you in your role when you started and is helping you in your role as CEO now?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I had kind of a non-traditional path to get here. I had just graduated from Metro State University here in Denver with a degree in technical communication. So there were some things from that degree that were really helpful, but definitely, a lot of what prepared me for this role is I've been at the company for so long, and I've had a part in like so many of the things about us growing up, and so I just know the business really well, and I know the industry really well now. And I've had a lot of really good support. Like, I mean, Taylor was doing uh, shipping and all of those things, and we learned. He taught me some things. We learned some things together. Mike Osman like taught me a lot of things about the business. I had a mentor, Nikki Vondervell, who used to organize the Trooper Conference, who like helped me grow my management leadership skills and help the team with communication, things like that.
So that's really cool too. So you say you had like a non-traditional path. Is there anything else, like any other jobs you want to share that you did before you joined GSG, or any other like skill sets you thought you wouldn't use but actually do use as CEO?
I mean, I worked a lot of customer service jobs, and those skills are always really good. Like, I also worked with fifth graders and, love and logic, like
Yeah.
compassion, like all those sorts of things. So,
So what other tasks do you do as CEO that you've had to like learn on the job? Like if somebody else wanted to become a CEO of their own open source hardware company, like are there skills that you recommend they definitely pick up?
um, I had to pick up I had no experience with accounting software, for example, and I learned how to do that from our accountant, the University of Google and YouTube. Spreadsheets helped me out for a lot of the forecasting that I was trying to do. Um, so I picked up a lot of like a lot more skill with spreadsheets and things like that. So, um, else, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, that's fair. I know other things. So you've already mentioned, we use accounting software, we use software for warehouse management.
Yeah.
What sort of other like technologies do you recommend for people in similar leadership positions? Is there communication software that has been particularly useful?
What? Wait, can you repeat the question? I don't understand what you're asking.
Sure, no problem. Let me think of ways to reword things. So we've talked about skills and skills that
hmm
can help people in a leadership role. Are there pieces of technology that people should pick up when they're starting an open source hardware company or leading an open source hardware company?
Okay. And then you were asking about like communication skills
Software.
specifically? Huh?
Communication software.
Oh, communication software. Like Confluence? Like we
Yeah.
use Confluence for our wiki?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Confluence has been a really great tool for us. We use Confluence to like do take meeting notes and put documentation about like internal processes and I don't know, just all sorts of things. And we were using that um, before 2020 when we went remote. And when we went remote, we were so glad that was in place because it's been just a really a valuable resource for everybody and ways that we can like keep track of what we're doing and what we need to do in the future.
Yeah. So I know we keep meeting notes. Are there other like sets of notes that have been particularly useful to you as a leader? Like things that you've had to rely on a lot?
Well, I have a logistics space in Confluence where I keep, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff in there. I am the main like contributor to that space and also the main user of that space. So I write it so that someone else can also use it. Like I hope that if I'm out of town or something and someone needs to like do an order or something, it's all there like documented so everyone can um, follow along and do things like
That's cool.
like I would.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, there's just so many other things that come with being a leader. Like, how have you gone about like choosing the cool people on our team? Because I'm always in awe of the people on our team. And like, have you
Right.
had like contributions to hiring?
Well, we've got such an awesome team right now. Like I could not be happier with like the team that we have. And um, as far as hiring goes, I mean, you would know.
It's
You
true.
were involved in the last round of hiring, and you did a great job. Like with uh, pre-interviewing people and selecting the right candidates based on like um, you know, their skills, how their skills match up with what we need, but also, um, are they passionate about open source work? Do they want to do open source work? Like those things are really important for an open source company, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we got one question from the community saying, leading any company as a CEO, I'm sure is a challenging venture. What are some unique aspects or challenges to growing an open source hardware company that may not apply or are different to a regular or closed sourced hardware company?
Oh, that's a really good question. Challenges?
Unique aspects or challenges?
Unique aspects. Well, I mean, a lot of what I do day to day is not that much different, like on the business side from any other company that manufactures and sells products, right? Like we manufacture the products, we sell them, we make money. But like the reason I think it's such important work and like what really motivates me is that selling great quality hardware and being successful at that funds this amazing work that the R&D team is doing. And so they can continue like maintaining, improving, imagining and designing new things, interacting with the community. Like it's just a really cool thing to be a part of, and we have a greater impact because we share our ideas.
Yeah, so we have another question from chat saying, does GSG have a discount or some kind of benefits for students? Do you want to handle that one or should I handle that one?
I think you should handle that one.
Awesome. So, to respond to that one, since we don't sell directly and we only sell to resellers, we aren't in charge of discounts for any sort of hardware. You would have to check with the companies you want to buy from yourself to see if they would give you a discount if you are a student. But the benefit we do provide to students is that our stuff is open source. I know when I was looking for jobs after I graduated years and years ago, everybody wanted to see your GitHub. They wanted to see your contributions. And one thing we do at Great Scott Gadgets, because everything is open, is we take all of your inputs and you can say you've contributed to an actually manufactured product, which looks great on your resume. So if you are a student, like, we have so many things that need to be put into documentation that are currently just in closed issues that I would love to see pull requests for. And I'd love to see you contribute to our any of our open source repositories on GitHub, because I think we have like over 40 different repositories now. So there's lots of opportunities to contribute. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, open source tools like hardware and software can really create an environment of inclusivity, right? Like anybody who has an interest in what we're doing can learn from, contribute to, you know, and even in ways that, we may not have thought of, building on stuff that we've done. We love that.
Absolutely.
And especially when like educators choose our tools like HackerF1 or Yardstick1 or GreatFout, they're when they choose tools like that to use as an educational platform, really multiplies the impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have another question here, which is definitely pitched to me, which is, can we expect more content from GSG on a more frequent basis? And I'm trying. That is actually my job here at GSG. Is I make all of the content, and I have been a little slow. But we have been building so much stuff in the background, which I have very much appreciated your help on, Elizabeth. Is just like all the crazy marketing ideas I have, and you being part of this talk and everything. I know we're gonna do these ones on a quarterly basis, but thanks for being our second quarterly.
I'm excited. I'm glad you asked me.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, more content. Hopefully we'll start recording more videos on more educational content soon. But soon is always relative when we have other products like Syntheon and Urti and everything else to get out. But another question for you, Elizabeth, is how many products are we shipping these days?
Like product or SKUs? Because we have like 11 different SKUs in our catalog now. I think it's 11, not including Syntheon, which will be added soon. But a couple of those are different configurations of the same product. For example, we have a HackerF1 with an enclosure, but some people want to buy it without an enclosure. So those are two different SKUs. Like sometimes they want just the board so that they can use add-ons like Opera Cake, which we also ship, and or other third-party add-ons, or they just want access to the headers, don't need the case. So or there's like Throwing Star Land Tap Pro and Kit. Those are two different ones. So kind of the same product, but different forms.
That's cool.
Does that answer the question?
Yep, absolutely. So about 11 different products, including different configurations right now. So that's a lot to manage at once, like managing all of those manufacturing schedules. Are there ever like conflicting, like you have to choose one product over the other, or are we able to like manufacture everything we need at the same time?
Usually like usually they're staggered enough that it's okay. But like if there ever has been a blocker to that, it's been probably cash flow. Like, because manufacturing is expensive, right? It's like half of uh our expenses is put into manufacturing. So,
Um, I don't know. Are we allowed to share numbers on stream? I guess you're CEO, so you get to decide. But uh, like
I'm just like, oh God, do I know the numbers off the top of my head?
like ballpark, do you know how much we spend on manufacturing in a year? Like, is it like in the hundreds? Is it in the thousands? Like where? I have no
It's
idea.
like $1 million.
Wow. That's so much.
Yeah.
I know HackerF is kind of like our big product. Do you know how many of those we ship out a year?
We're shipping about 8,000 a year when we're
That's
not having shortages.
yeah, everything comes back to when we're not having shortages for sure.
Uh-huh.
And like that's obviously huge. That's a lot of money we put into making sure this open source stuff gets out. And what are ways people can, give back to us that aren't necessarily buying hardware if they already have the hardware?
Oh, well, we all of our projects are in GitHub repositories, public GitHub repositories in our Great Scott Gadgets organization, and we really appreciate like feedback, contributions, um, and that really helps us get things, get bug fixes and improvements, and not just to code, but also to documentation. So if you have something to contribute, like look through our issues and see if you can help us out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know Antoine has been having such a fun time on Face Dancer since our last team talk. There have been so many cool contributions, and I know he's just like constantly merging pull requests to that repository, and that's so nice to see
Nice.
increased contributions there.
Yeah, it's
Um,
awesome.
but we have another question that says, given the regulatory landscape surrounding cybersecurity and radio frequency technologies, are there features that we wish we could include in products or things that we could launch if laws were not a concern? So I don't know. Do you think much about which products we do, or is that mainly R&D team?
Yeah, that would really be a better question for someone on the R&D team, I think.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, we are like I don't know. I actually can't think of any, but they may be. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, I know our next team talk in May, March, April, May, which is the 10th year anniversary of HackerUp, which I'm so excited about. I'll have Mike Osman on, so I'm thinking then we'll probably save that question for that one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm just scrolling through all of the questions that I have popping up here. One of the great things about community management is there's so many streams people can use to get a hold of me, and they all sort of go off at once when we're doing one of these. Let me just scroll through, see which ones we haven't answered. Oh, this is a good one. How does GSG benefit from being open source? We've already talked about contributions, but is there anything else you want to highlight about being open source? Yeah, we'll just stop there.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes with what I was saying before, but like there's a really great like connection between a community that's like invested in our products and our projects and a business model that's built around manufacturing and selling hardware, right? Because like we get a lot of feedback from folks and that helps us design products that are more in tune with the needs of people who are potential customers. And I think like I don't really know how it works in a closed source company, but I think they do like, they have to focus groups, or I don't know. I don't know how they get that information, but we just have it because we talk to our community and we share things with them. So that's one really big benefit. And then also like, like I was saying, contribute to our GitHub repos.
Yeah.
Quality contributions in GitHub really help us. Well, it helps the community get like improvements and features faster, right? Like we're a very small team, so we don't have time to do everything. We have to prioritize and, be mindful of like what our bandwidth actually is. But if there's somebody that has a feature they want and they know how to do, they can come in and contribute to the community effort there. And like another really big one is like because people who can like look under the hood, as it were, and see how our stuff works. That transparency makes it easier for them to modify and like customize the products or projects for their special uses, and even things that we may not have thought of or had time to do. And that's like I think it's led to like we've had a couple of wholesale customers who were using HackRF as a component, or Ubertooth or something else as a component in in another product they were manufacturing. And I'm sure that like because they were able to see like how things were done, they were able to look at the designs and code, then they could that helps with the engineering efforts that they're doing, right? So that's another thing. I think people choose our products because they're open source.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I've got another question here for you, which is, which product has not done as well as you hoped it would?
I guess, well, I mean, Great Fet, as far as sales, like Great Fet's a great product. I think a lot of people, like we haven't really had the time to put into, marketing efforts or things like that. So that doesn't move as fast, but it's still a great product, and we haven't gotten to as many neighbors as we would have liked to, the add-on boards. So the one that we're shipping is Daffodil, and we just kind of started getting orders. We've had it sitting on the shelf for a year. And so Daffodil, I think that's just kind of maybe starting to catch on, which is great.
So for those folks that don't know what Great Fet is, it's a little board that you can plug into your computer. And the best part I love Daffodil because it's a tiny breadboard that you can connect onto your Great Fet, and you can do hardware prototyping on this breadboard that's connected to your computer, and you just use Python. You don't have to know any assembly. You don't have to use any lower level languages. It goes straight from plugging in wires and LEDs to Python. So that is my favorite use of Great Fet. For those of you that don't know, it's definitely made some of my LED projects go super, super, super fast. So definitely recommend it if you've got the time to try out that product. Okay, and then I have another question here. Let me just pull it up. So we've talked about the chip shortage. We've talked about warehousing. Are there any other great trials you've kind of overcome as CEO that you were like, that were just a lot to deal with?
Serious answers only?
I mean, whatever you want. We're just chatting.
Well, I can have, I don't know. Actually, okay, what did we talk about already? There have been trials. We talked about the seizure. We talked about the chip shortage.
What about like tariffs and things like that? Those
tariffs. Yeah,
come in the way,
that's
right?
the other one. Yeah, tariffs started, it's been, I don't know. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years now. 5 years. I think it's been 5 years since the U.S. Customs started charging 25% on goods from China, and the whole list of HS codes, combed through them, like all of our products were on them. And so it was that whole dilemma of, well, we could stop manufacturing in China, and then like learning like, how are we going to do that? Like there's we've tried we've tried to find manufacturers in the US. They are also reliant on China. So for this type of manufacturing, so like we kind of felt like we don't have a choice. Um, so to kind of like we used to just import everything into the US and ship from there, right? And uh, we thought like that is a really um, like kind of is adding an additional, like if we build that into our pricing model, it's an additional cost to, like resellers in the EU who only have to, also have to pay VAT taxes, or other countries where they have like import taxes that they have to pay. So we're like, in order to avoid doubling that for resellers in other countries other than the US, we started doing warehousing out of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So those things never get imported into the US
That
because they're
was,
never going to end up here.
yeah, I think that was a really big company change for us.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So we have another question which says, now that Erti has passed its first PCB and things are getting going, is there a planned crowdsourcing date yet? Are we crowdsourcing? I'm not even sure yet.
We don't have a plan at all yet for that. So, I mean, I know, we'll make a plan. We'll make a plan. We're not that far into the R&D process yet. Like, it's really exciting that we have, a mainboard prototype now, but like the other things are going to take, like the user interface board is going to take a while, and there's a lot of software and firmware development still that needs to be done in the meantime. And we're kind of just really focused on getting Syntheon shipped and just completing the milestones in the research and development project, and then we'll talk about productization.
Yeah. I feel like, we've got an even better idea of crowdsourcing now that we've done Syntheon and we're like right at the end of it. There's definitely so many lessons learned. I can't wait to have that like debrief chat
Yeah, for
after.
sure. I'd love to be like, if we do crowdfunding again, I'd love to for us to be like have all the parts on the shelf and be a lot further into this process before, you know, like, because it's been like having that obligation and having to have delays has been really like we're as
Emotionally
disappointed.
tough.
Nobody is more disappointed than us that we haven't gotten this done yet. Like, really, we're so excited to ship
Yeah.
Syntheon.
Well, I think if people want us to crowd supply Urti, they should absolutely send emails to info at letting
Yeah,
us know what you want us to do. Because the more feedback we get, is the better, really.
yeah.
Because I'm so nervous. Like, what if people are like super mad at us because of Syntheon taking so long? Thankfully, we've only had like 7 complaints, so it's not a lot. But it'd be nice to know if people would like that to happen again.
Hmm.
But I think that's one of the things too is like, you know, coming up with timelines for when products are going to be ready is so hard. Do you have any tips about that at all or things to warn people against while making timelines?
Um, well, I was recently called a pessimist about time.
I think
I'm
I'm
like, but
worse than
that's from
you.
experience. I'm a realist. No, I think the rule of thumb that I've developed is if someone tells me it's going to take a month, it's going to take at least 3.
That sounds about right.
If I think it's going to take a month, it's going to take at least 3. Like it's so much easier to say that future you is going to have time than it is
To actually have
for
time.
present you to have that time.
Yeah. Well, and that's
And also like with Syntheon, I think it was just so much more like with all the things that came up with EMC, it was just so much more work than any of us could have predicted. Like,
Especially because it's bleeding edge work. Like a lot of the stuff we
mhm.
ended up creating doesn't exist anywhere in the world yet. So like trying to make a
Yeah,
timeline for something that doesn't exist uh,
yeah,
and has to be created from like bare blocks is I think really difficult.
yeah. And like what the engineering team is doing with Syntheon is amazing. I think everyone's going to be thrilled with the product that they get because I know everyone really cares about like making it.
I know.
Uh,
And I actually, for those of you that did come to the stream today, a little surprise for you. This is what the box looks like. We've got full kit here, a little bit of everything, and I will open it up for you all to see. So, little surprise. This is what you'll be getting. I'll be taking pictures soon and posting those online for everyone. But we do like to give a good surprise here during our team talks. But yeah, you can see obviously the box is much bigger than the Syntheon itself, which kind of hard to see with the foam here. But this is our baby. This is the little device. So I just want to say thank you so much, Elizabeth, for leading us through everything the past few years to get Syntheon out. And the fact that we are so close is so great. And I know how many nights you've spent staying up super late to make sure we get parts when they are suddenly canceled underneath us. And I know you did such a great job talking to so many people to make sure we get the chips we need when we need them, and you've done so much great work on getting our timelines in order, and also technical writing. Like each edit pass you do on all of my writing, I learned so much. So I just want to highlight, again for everyone here, just how much Elizabeth does, and that our team is so much more than just a couple people. We have a full nine, and that Elizabeth is leading us all through it into the successes we have had the last few years. And just want to thank you all again for your time and stopping by. Elizabeth, do you have any last words?
I just want to thank our team. Like nothing that I'm doing would be possible without them. We have an amazing team.
I
And
agree.
yeah. And
Cool.
thank you for letting me do this interview. It was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, I can't wait to have you back. I definitely see us getting more questions for the next interview, and I will definitely be talking to you offline really soon. But yeah,
Awesome.
bye everyone. I hope you have a great
Bye.
rest of your day. Bye. Stream